Hello, my name is Eric and I'm doing another one of my photography vlogs called One Body, One Lens, One Roll, One Day. It is a very sunny, as you can tell, got my hat, July evening, about 6:30, almost 7 o'clock. And I am in one of the picnic areas in Millstream Reservation near, I don't know, was it Broadview Heights area? I'd have to double check that, but it's Millstream Run Reservation, one of the picnic areas. The covered picnic area looks like they've got some sort of family reunion or something going on, so I'm kind of like working down one of the hiking trails right here. Today's camera is a very interesting one. It is a Leica Mini Lux Zoom. Boy, Leica lenses are super sharp, so I can't wait to see what I get out of this thing. And it does have a little bit of a zoom, a 35-70, so I'm going to put the cap in my pocket so I don't lose it. This does have some manual focus controls, does have the date back. Date back is currently turned off because I don't want the date stamp to appear on it. Today's film, I haven't done much of this before, but this is a roll of slide film. Instead of getting back negatives, I'm going to get back positives. I think I did a roll of medium format a while back, but I haven't done one since. So this is some Kodak E100S. So it's Actachrome, does the standard E6 process. They haven't made the S, SW, and some of the other variations in probably at least 10 years, so I'm going to assume this is at least 10-year-old stuff. So I might have to do some exposure compensation for this because I do not know how well this is kept. Now the catch to that is print film, black and white and color, usually have about a 2-stop latitude, maybe 2 stop over, maybe a stop and a half under, and you can still get good usable images. It's always better to overexpose, which is why I would always, overexpose by about a third a stop on most of my rolls. 100 speed film, I'd shoot it at 80, or 400 stuff, shoot it at 320. A lot of film photographers in the 80s and 90s would do that. Gives a little kick in the extra saturation and stuff. But because I don't know how well this is kept, normal expired stuff is you slow it down 1 stop for every 10 years. I'm going to see, this camera does not have an ISO override, but it does have an EV compensation. So I'm going to try to overexpose it by at least 1 stop, probably 1.5 if I can get there. All right, I'm going to load it up and then walk down the path. Let me see what I can get. Be right back. Okay, first thing I noticed as I loaded up is that most cameras that I've used, most of the pocket cameras, and even SLRs that I've used so far, have been a left to right loading. So you put your film on this side, put the leader out, close the door, and it grabs it and transports. This is actually a right to left loader. Don't remember why they did that, but it's just kind of something different. So, it's always a little different. I do see a bunch of butterflies. I do see some wildflowers. I don't think I'm going to catch the butterflies. They're probably too skittish for a short zoom. But let's see what I can get, and I'll be right back. Let me go get some shots. Okay, so this camera does not have much of a macro on it, and there's a bug here, so I'm not going to get them. I did see a couple cool butterflies fly by, but again, point and shoot cameras aren't going to be fast enough or have a long enough lens to really work for that. Now the E100S that I'm shooting, this is Actachrome stuff. There's good E100 fresh stock film that's out there right now. But back in the 90s and early 2000s, they had like 6 or 7 variations. The E100S was saturated. That's what the S stood for. So a little extra kick in the color, more than usual. So with the my exposure comp set to plus 1.5, which it does have. So hopefully I can adjust for some unknown quality of slide. But again, I'm assuming this is 15-year-old, maybe 20-year-old stock film, and I don't know how it was kept. So, all right, let me get a couple more shots around here, and I'm going to keep going down that path. Okay, path is going to take me underneath the canopy of some trees. Probably not the best for with this slow speed film and adjusted for, by 1.5 stops. So my flash is probably going to be going off an awful lot. I'll try to brace myself because I didn't bring my, my other tripod with me. This is a 3.5 to 6.5 lens, so at 35, it's okay. Hopefully I can try to get some moody shadows and stuff like that. I might force the flash off. I'm probably going to get 50-50 on the stuff that's underneath here, but hey, that's half the fun, going out seeing what your limits are. I'll be right back. Okay, so this camera does have a autofocus and a manual focus dial. So an autofocus in here, it was kind of arguing with me as far as it didn't want to lock onto, and I could tell because there's two lights in the viewfinder. The top one is red, and that's the flash. So if it's blinking, the flash is charging. When it's solid, the flash is ready. The bottom one is green. That's usually the focus light, and if it's blinking, it can't lock on. And in here is more of a passive type of autofocus. It just kind of sends out and sees what it can see. And the problem is it's kind of dark in here. There's not a lot of contrast, so it's having problems. So I'm kind of trying to zone focus. I'm kind of put this thing at this is kind of more in meters. So 5 meters would be 25 feet. 2.5 meters would be about 12 feet. All the way down to 0.7 meters, which would be about 2 feet. So that's my range, 2 feet to pretty much infinity. And because down here I'm having problems autofocusing, just because there's not a lot of light, and the fact that's probably warning me that I'm shaky. All right, let me get a couple more shots. There's some trail signs down the way a bit. I got some fallen trees. Let's see what I can get. Be right back. Some mosquitoes out here, but what do you expect? So it looks like they got two different trails, trying to keep trail wear down to a minimal. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, they want you to go one direction. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, you go the other direction. And it's closed to mountain bikes, just trying to keep the trails intact, especially when it's like muddy and stuff. It's not muddy, it's actually kind of dry. All right, let me get a couple more shots. All right, I'm at shot 28 on a roll of 36. That gives me about 8 more photos. I'm going to start working my way back to the parking area, and let's see what else I can get. All right, as you can probably hear, that's the end of my roll of film. It kicked into auto rewind automatically. And hey, the photos will be posted at the end. If you like them, give them a thumbs up. If you like the park, again, this was one of the picnic areas inside Mill Street Reservation. Feel free to comment if you've been here before, your experience with slide film. Feel free to share it if you think somebody else might make some good information off of shooting slide film, especially out of date stuff. Feel free to subscribe. I got new episodes trying to come out every Friday and every Saturday, so about 2 a week. Should be plenty of stuff. And they're short episodes. They're like 4 to 12 minutes, so nothing really long. You don't have to sit there and wait for a point to be made. All right. Again, today's camera was a Leica Mini Lux Zoom. Today's film was some probably expired E100S, which is Kodachrome E100 slide film saturated, which I know they haven't made in at least 15 years. So that's why I did a 1.5 stop of overexposure compensation. All right, we'll see you next episode. Thanks.